Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 38 here in the Systematic Factory. Been a few hundred cycles more just doing some maintenance around the base, and I want to show you a few things. One is that I built this monstrosity. It just uses 10 steam turbines, and then I have a separate one that is used to cool those 10 steam turbines. And I'm just dumping water in here and using the heat from our abyssalite and from our magma down here to turn it into steam, generate power, and convert salt water and polluted water into water. So I have a line here coming from our salt water geysers and one from our polluted water geysers, as well as the polluted water that's coming out of our petroleum power station here. It's all getting dumped in here. Just to kind of oversimplify it, everything is cooled down up here so that the steam turbines can just keep running. And I have vents here that are connected to the steam turbines. Each steam turbine has a maximum output of 2K of water. So I have 5 of them connected to one vent on either side. And then I have a shutoff here that is connected to an atmos sensor. And it says if the atmospheric pressure in here goes above 20K, vent the water upwards instead of back into the system. That's saying when water's coming in and increasing the pressure, send the water out. And so the water is going up through these 2 pipelines, and it's going all the way up this way and up, and up into storage. So now we have our water getting stored in here. So this is building up. I don't have these running and I don't have these running. Instead, the polluted water, this polluted water still connected here in case somehow I were to go low on water. It'll start using the backup supply of 22 million kilograms of polluted water that I have here. But it should never turn on because we have more water coming in than we're pulling out. I do need to clean this up some, but mostly I've been working on cleaning up things around the map to get it so that it's done, so that I can, give it out for people to play around on. I want to clean up a lot of the things that I have built in haste a little bit, add some more things to it, but we're just trying to get things done. The other thing I'm working on here is I'm putting in a new line here to connect to the coolant loop in our power spine on this side. It fluctuates temperature, and that's because I'm just running the cooling off of this tamer, and it's not a super efficient way to do it, because when this is active, that we're really pushing the limits of our cooling. It's also slowing down the cooling of our iron here, which isn't a big deal, because if we look at our supplies, iron we have 143 tons of, and we have already 41 tons of steel backed up in our storage. So it's not like I really need the iron to cool down quickly, but might as well get it done. So I'm rerunning these lines. I have them connected down here. They haven't been connected yet, but I'm going to connect them to this cooling system here, and make it so that this is running off a supercoolant in through here. I'm also going to have to run a line over to the other side here because I created a second power spine on this side. Eventually, my goal is to have 2 independent power systems so that I have power generating up on this side and the other side, and then I can really push the limits of my power, because right now we have a potential load of 88 kilowatts on a 50 kilowatt line. It's not a problem because every system in the base never turns on at once. But if we go over that 50 kilowatt line, what happens is we get some power cutouts. And if I can get it so that each system has less than a 50 kilowatt potential, then that'll never happen, which will be great. Finally, the last thing I'm working on currently is all the gases inside the map. I just want to get rid of them because it's just mixed gases, polluted oxygen and oxygen. And I have a ridiculous amount of oxygen stored. I don't need all this oxygen that's in here. all the systems in here, for the most part, I have got them set up so that they don't need cooling from the, or they don't need heat transfer from the gases around them, so I can get rid of it. So what I did is I just removed the roof up here. And so if you look at the gases, this is down to 7 grams. We work our way down, it's down like 350. You go all the way to the bottom here, we're at 300 grams. So all these gases are working their way out, venting into space, which is fine. We're just gonna lose them all. We may have some issues where some of the systems around here have a issue with not having heat transfer, and we'll fix them as we come along. I think the only one I can think of is this here. If I try to send things through, it's not going to be able to transfer heat because these conveyor loaders do, in fact, generate some heat. But I can set up a coolant loop that goes through there using a conduction panel to cool that off. I think everything else I've isolated. I put all the power into the sides. I have a couple here we'll still need to fix. But they'll come up and start overheating when the air starts to diminish to the point where it can't transfer the heat. And that will show us what we need to do. But then I want to go through and remove a lot of these scaffolding ladders to our systems, clean up systems, and get everything just kind of polished before we move on to the final thing. As for today's episode, what we're going to be working on is I want to see if I can find a way to squeeze in here a diamond making machine so that we can do some more mining for our mining achievement. Like I said, that's going to be a really long achievement, so it may be something where after we're done with the series, we come back and update it after playing on this map every once in a while, just for completeness sake, but might as well get it set up so that we can actually continue to do it while we're playing around in here. So, to do a diamond machine, we need a diamond press. I'm thinking I can probably fit it in right here. So let's get rid of these ladders to start. The diamond press uses, it's under refinement, it's just there. Diamond press. Let's just we'll put it down. We may move it around once we get it going, but I just want to see its input. So we need to have power into it. There's no other items into it except for that there is a radiation port on the front. So we need to send refined carbon in, and then we hit it with rad bolts, and then when it has enough refined carbon, enough rad bolts, it presses out diamonds for us. So I'm thinking the problem I have with putting it right here, let's move this already, is that our path here means that duplicates come right through here, and then they go up here to get to this stuff, and they go up here to get to this stuff. I think I'm going to take this ladder out. That way the duplicates go around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the diamond press up just a little bit so that there is a pathway underneath, and maybe I'll put some lead tile underneath just to make sure we don't have any possible radiation hitting them to keep it safe. So let's do lead tile here. We'll just do a row like, that's one too high. Let's just do 2 off the ground because we may need the space above. So if we have it like that, then this is why I like to do my planning off camera. Let's put the diamond press in and see where it is. So if we put it, we'll probably put it on the side here. Radiation, if it basically my thought is that radiation may try to go into the diamond press, and diamond press is full, so a rad bolt will go past it. So I think I just need a metal tile right at the spot right here where that diamond press is going to be. So let's put that there, and then we'll put mesh tiles for the rest of the space for it, like that. And then I think that means that since the diamond press is going to be against the wall on this side, when the duplicates go up to run it, they will go up and they'll stand right here. They won't stand in the middle. Hopefully. We'll see. We may have to change some things up to make sure that the duplicates don't accidentally get shot with a massive dose of radiation. The other thing we're going to need to figure out is what we're going to do for radiation. In the late game, if we wanted to, we could probably set up a system with a research reactor to create a lot of rad bolts to get lots of diamonds very quickly. But I'm thinking, for now at least, I want to set up just kind of a passive system where this will just keep running to do it. And I have, if we go to resources, phosphorite, I have 250 tons of it. And I think that's what we need to keep our wheeze warts running, which will give us a decent amount of rad bolts. I have a lot of polluted oxygen buildup down here. It's off-gassing from here. It shouldn't happen. Should have been pressurized enough in here that that didn't happen, but we'll have to fix that. Another thing to add to the project list. And then we need this one gone. Okay, so I'm going to get this diamond press put in. Then we're going to put... Basically what we're going to do is we'll have the diamond press standing right here. Oop, game is locking up on me just a little bit. Diamond press right here. We need a rad bolt reflector that goes in here. Actually, the rad bolt generator goes down. If we put that so it goes there. Just trying to think the best way to do this. I want to make sure that there's the path of the rad bolts don't ever... You know what we could do? I could put it in here. This area is just empty space that I filled in. I think I might do that. Let's remove all the buildings here. We could probably put in a farm here, reflect it in here, and then just put some shielding over here so that if there's any rad bolts that go out, they will go out this way. That way we don't even have to worry about them going underneath. I think that's going to be the best bet to do. I'm going to get this cleared out. I'll set up a wheeze wort farm. We'll have to figure out how to make it so that the duplicants can feed the wheeze warts without actually getting in line of the rad bolt reflectors, and then we'll get this thing up and running. Got a few new systems operating. First of all, I set up a gas pump here that is just pumping out gas from the bottom here, and it runs down and goes into this filter, and if it's hydrogen, it puts it back in, and if it's polluted oxygen or anything else, it puts it out into this line. This line is the main line, or well, it was a temporary line, but it's a main line that goes into our filter system and puts away the gases. That way we can get this polluted oxygen out of here that built up from this. The other issue with that is the reason that happened is I don't have enough pressure in our hydrogen gas. So I'm going to go in and put a canister emptier. Let's just put it up here, and we're going to set that to output hydrogen. We'll let it go until we get over 5K pressure in here. That way, this polluted water cannot off-gas at all. It'll be too much pressure in the room, which will be fine. I also set this system up. It seems a little wonky kind of being like halfway here, but the reason for it is this sweeper can now reach our refined carbon. It can put it into here. It can also... Oh, it can't reach that. I'm going to have to move this block. I just want a metal tile here to block any radiation from getting shot out over this way, just because there's a chance a duplicate will be standing here doing some kind of maintenance work. And I don't really want them getting shot in the head by a rad bolt and having to deal with that. So I'm just going to put a lead tile here. That way, if the rad bolts go in here and they can't be absorbed, they'll just hit this metal tile and be done. The automation here is pretty simple. Diamonds are made, they're put in here, This is, oh, this should be the lower priority, and this should be the higher priority. I had that backwards. These two get filled up first. They hold nothing but diamond. So once I have those filled, then this one will start filling up. Once this one's full, it will send a not symbol to here and turn off the diamond press. The same time, when the diamond press has enough rad bolts stored up, it sends a signal over here that is green, and there's a NOT gate here. That sends a signal to the rad bolt generator, stop collecting and sending rad bolts. And it also sends a red signal to this door, which makes it so that our duplicates can't go back out. I should make it... We'll see if it happens. It may occur that somebody's in here feeding our wheeze worts and this door gets locked, so we may have to make it... You know what I could do? Let's just do... Well, that's going to be difficult because I have that power there. I guess I could get rid of this. And I could put another door up top. And then I could put in a duplicate sensor. Where's a duplicate sensor? I know there is one. It's in here somewhere. Duplicate motion sensor, I guess, is what I need. I have to find a way to squeeze that in. But basically what I think I'm going to do is I'll put in this door here. I'll have to swap out this power wire. Oh no, if we're using a motion sensor, that doesn't matter. Let's cancel this. We can stick with how we had it. I was thinking we were going to use a sensor to sense if there was a duplicate in this room, but since we're using a duplicate motion sensor, then we can put in... I think if we just put it right here, it'll be fine. If somebody's standing by the door, moving around, then we want to send in a green signal as well. So if we look at that automation signal, sends a green signal when while a duplicate is in the sensor's tiles range. Otherwise, send a red signal. Yeah, so unless they decide that they're not going to move around in here at all and they don't trip this off, then that would be fine. I guess we could, if we really wanted to, we could probably put one over here that would also cover that side. Let's see, this one. Duplicate motion sensor. That covers all the way up to there. If I put this here, covers there, we'll send this wire just down into here. And so then if either of those senses that there is a duplicate in the room, then it will send a green signal overriding the NOT signal here, opening the door. That way, if there is a duplicate in there, they'll be able to get out and they won't get trapped. Little over-engineering now prevents us from having a major headache later. Get rid of this ladder. That was just to build some wires. Okay, so that construction will get finished and that's done. This is going to take a long time to build up the rad bolts it needs, because it needs 1,000 rad bolts for each time it makes diamond, but this is kind of something that we wanted to just slowly build up diamonds over time for us. We don't need to have a bunch of diamonds all at once. We have 80 tons of refined carbon. We have a ton more coal that we can keep making more refined carbon as we use it. So this will keep going. If we let this go, it's going to give us 60 tons of diamond over a long, long period of time, but we will fill it up eventually. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted a passive system. If I need a large amount later on, I will come up with a better system using like a research reactor or something. But for now, that'll do what we need it to do. We're going to set this to enable auto bottle on hydrogen so we can fill the room up there. Don't know if this polluted oxygen is going to work its way out here. We may have to get more creative with our pump. For now, I'm going to let it go and just any polluted oxygen that works its way over for now will be fine. It'd be okay if it sat in there, but I do want to get it out of there. It's going to drive me bonkers. The other system I have working up here is a similar one we've seen before. I'm filtering out the petroleum in our coolant line here. This is connected to our loop from over here, and I have more being fed in from our supercoolant down here so that we're getting more produced and filling up this tank, because we're going to need a lot of supercoolant to do such a big loop. But basically it's feeding supercoolant up through this loop and into this loop as well. I'm going to fill this tank with supercoolant. Well, I probably won't completely fill it, but I'm going to swap out the supercoolant here. But once we're done, I'm going to disconnect this from our coolant loop here. We're going to finish this coolant loop so we have cooling all the way up and down this tower for all of our power systems, and we'll be good. But we just have, down here right now, we have a filter that is pulling out petroleum and sending it down into our petroleum supplies for... If I do it this way, it'll take turns pulling the petroleum when there's petroleum both sides, but it'll eat it all up and it'll keep the line saturated. That's what I wanted. That'll work fine. Our petroleum system is actually really kind of being more overkill now. I mean, I still need petroleum burning for power, but this system is making a ton of power. If we look at our power usage from yesterday, we're generating more than we need, and if we go and look at the uptime on these systems, these are generating, you know, they're up about 50% of the time, some of them are up 100% of the time, constantly running and generating power. So we're doing extremely well with our power generation systems. And so I think if we look on this report, is it here? No, it's on this actual report. When we look at power created over by the colony over the course of the day, let's go to yesterday so we have a finished number. We had petroleum generators made 8,000 kilojoules. The steam turbines made 5,500 kilojoules, so almost as much as our petroleum generator setups are making from steam turbines. And there are some on different parts of the base, but mostly it's these right here. So crazy amount of power from the heat down here. We do have to keep an eye to watch that it's still running, because eventually this heat will be dissipated. Once it gets below 150 degrees, it's not going to keep putting more heat into the steam, because the steam stays consistently at about 150 degrees. So basically all I'm doing is when a tile gets below 150, mining it out, put in a temperature shift plate so the heat can transfer back up and keep things running. So right now we need to just kind of hang on with this and let it empty out all that petroleum. We need to let the diamond do its job for a while, and I'll work on getting this filled out, and then just keep working on doing some more cleanup things around the base. But we're getting to the point now where we're in the late game. We can start doing those final achievements. I think I would like to end up this episode by starting construction on our monument. So let's go in here and find it. It's under furniture. We're gonna do a monument base. Oh, you need obsidian, 2,500 kilograms, and I used it all in my steam setup down here. Okay, I'm gonna have to recover some of my obsidian so that I can build that, and then hopefully by the time I get ready to build that, we'll have our coolant line finished and we can do that all together. Okay, gotten a few more projects finished up. Now that we have our coolant line here finished, I have switched it over to get the supercoolant into its new home. So basically I put a tank here, I put just enough buffer for what I want. I connected the lines to this one, and this one is going back to just cycling away to keep itself cool for the next time I need to use it. Next thing I'm going to do with that is I'm going to have to run a line over to this side. I have to decide whether I'm going to just have a line that runs across to do coolant, or if I'm going to set up a new coolant system over here. I think I'm just going to run the line across, because there are a couple spots where I'm going to need some spot cooling around here. And also I can use that time to swap out coolant in some other systems in here. So I'll do that off camera because it's just doing the same thing as what I did before. And then we'll set up a coolant system in here. The really nice thing about the setup we have in here now is that any time we want to add a new aqua tuner, we have a power line that can handle all of them instead of having a single inductive wire for each one. So space is less of an issue. We are limited on space with our piping. It's getting more and more complex. I doubt I'll be able to squeeze much more of anything in. I might be able to get one more setup in here, but I'll probably just use this setup as the one over there, as I don't have any more to do. And I don't want to push the limits of this system much farther. I think that we're doing plenty with it. I did put in a pump. Oh, I have a little bit of polluted oxygen there. I'm gonna have to put this back in. I missed one spot. So let's do that. We're gonna put the gas pipe here. We still have our filters set up so we can just connect power to it and get it. But basically we have, I got the polluted oxygen out of here, and I am working on filling this room to the point where there's enough hydrogen in it that we don't have any possibilities of off-gassing in here. I think that it's right in this spot is where it's happening because there's polluted oxygen there. I may have to fix that too, because I think it gets in here and then its pressure's high enough that it pops out. So I'll work on that off camera too, but basically I just want to get the last little bit of polluted oxygen out of here so we don't have any off-gassing issues. It's not a big issue other than just I like it to be complete. Our diamond press is working slowly. We have built up enough rad bolts to do one crafting. So let's see, what's this waiting on? This is waiting on duplicate operation. Yeah, it's a work errand. So let's set this to a higher level just for now, just so we can see somebody come and take care of it. But this is gonna slowly build up with rad bolts and shut itself off when we don't need them, and slowly make us diamond. Problem is this only makes let's see where the thing is. It makes 100 kilograms of diamonds each time that you do it. So I guess I have to look down here. Yeah, so you make 100 kilograms of diamond for each operation. So it uses 100 kilograms of refined carbon, but 1,000 rad bolts. And so it takes a while for this to set up to get that many rad bolts. And when you do it, you only get 100 kilograms. And I need 2,500 kilograms to finish our monument. And then I need 1,000 every time we go to mine in space. And I need to do that 500 times in order to finish the achievement. So I think that's correct. 20,000. So five would be 100,000. 50 would be 1,000,000. To get 10 million, we would need 500 mining trips. It's a lot of diamonds to deal with. So we will see if we end up making a much faster diamond press, or if we just call it a day because we know we can do it, and we'll just come back to it once I have eventually finished it far down the road. The coolant over here is working great. This is ice cold now. It's all set up as an independent system. This loop I set up with just enough to do it, and this is also running on super coolant. So now our iron volcano will stay ice cold no matter how much heat it's pumping at us. So everything there is doing great. We've built the base and midsection for our monument, but like I said, to build the final section, we need to have 2,500 kilograms of diamond. We just don't have that. So there are other options. I think we could go mine them on other planets as well, but this system will get it there. Eventually, we'll just have to let it keep running. Down here in our monstrosity of a geothermal plant, I have been having issues with little bits of polluted oxygen that off-gas from the polluted water when it gets pumped into the system, which I'm surprised that it can even do. There's so much pressure in here, I can't believe that it even lets that gas off-gas, but it does. So it was blocking my Atmo sensors. I guess technically it's blocking one of the ports on here too, and slightly reducing my efficiency. I did two things to fix it. I moved the Atmo sensors down, That way this doesn't trip them, and it is working on balancing our pressures out correctly now. And I also put a little tile right here. Eventually this polluted oxygen will work its way over. It'll go up to here. And then any more that comes up, because of the pressure in here, it'll get pushed into there too. And if it gets to the point where there's too much polluted oxygen built up, we'll just build a tile, delete it, and start the process over again. Pretty simple way to fix it. No problem at all. We're building up tons and tons of salt from our salt water coming in. Kind of crazy. Might have to do something with that. Same thing over here. We have a lot of dirt building up because we are turning the polluted water. When it boils into steam, it just leaves behind dirt instead of polluted dirt, which is pretty fancy and pretty helpful. Our tiles here are still cooling, but they're not cool enough that I need to dig any out yet. The nice thing about this is that the cooling system for this is separate. And so the heat in here fluctuates pretty wildly depending on whether I have really, really hot tiles or cold tiles. And so having this in here, which is what I tried at first, it would get broken a lot. So now that it's separate, if this system were to run out of heat and it would cool down and steam would condense down to the point where it's too cool for the steam turbines, it would just sit in here. And if it cooled down really far and it turned into water, or this filled up the water, then when we crack open one of these tiles that's like 1,000 degrees, it would help us really quickly heat it back up. So it's not an issue. I did put in hydro sensors so that if it starts to get to the point where we have liquid building up, then it shuts off the inputs. That way we don't do it. I might put in a notifier system so that I know if it does that, because I may not be paying attention. But I'm also really curious to see what happens when we get through the abyssalate and we start interacting directly with the magma. We'll see what happens. It should, in theory, cool it down so that we get a solid layer again and we just keep working our way through and get through it. But it's going to take a long, long time before we get to that. So not a concern for today. So next episode, I want to work on finishing this monument base by putting the head on it. The midsection and the base are done, and we'll get that achievement. We also need to work on some morale stuff for that, and then doing some more buildings in here to boost morale is definitely on the table, and that should be a lot of fun. But for now, we're going to call it a day, and I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.